And so today, fam, you see this story here, fam? Like, I come across this headline. Well, I come across this video on Twitter, and I was just like, "What is going on? Like, where is the sense in the situation?" Well, this was the thread. Well, this was the tweet. This was the tweet. Scientists in the UK poured cold water on a long-standing myth that people of African, Caribbean, and Asian heritage cannot float because of heavy bones. Now, fam, you know what it is? Okay, then. It says putting minorities in pools and looking at them is not science. It's obviously a joke. It clearly is a joke. It clearly is a joke, fam, because me as a kid, I always used to love going swimming. So this isn't something I've even ever heard of. Yeah, I know the stereotype, oh, black people can't swim or something like that. I think that's more of an American thing, but you get me? I don't really feel like people can't swim. You get me? You can't swim if you haven't swam before or you haven't experienced swimming more than if you're a certain race, or you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just stupid, fam. It's just ridiculousness at the end of the day. But the fully did a study on it, so it's just one of them ones. Man can just only react to it in it. So yeah, let's see what they're saying in this video.
Scientists in the UK say new research undermines a popular belief that people of African, Caribbean, and Asian heritage.
About popular belief, I've never heard of this in my life. You know, so it's probably not that popular. Probably not popular in my circles, but fam, this is just a weird concept in itself. But let me carry on.
Have heavier bones, making it harder for them to float in water. The research was led by the Black Swimming Association and carried out at the University of Portsmouth. Established 5 years ago, the association aimed to dispel this widely believed myth.
It's actually taking place with a university, like, fam. This is crazy, fam. Like, this is what science is nowadays. Put some black people and Asians in a pool and see if they float. Like, what the heck? Hey, floating is about technique more than what race you are. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's certain techniques that help you to float or whatnot, not your bones. Oh, gosh. Let me carry on again.
Jones from the BSA says it's unclear where the myth first originated.
Now, we thought if we could put this myth, which over time felt more like a belief to science, and prove that this is not the case, we could actually remove an obstacle that exists between black and brown communities who feel disengaged with swimming and aquatics. And not just the aquatic sector, but we could also change their relationship with the water.
Dr. Heather Massey from the University of Portsmouth says on average people with black heritage do have a higher bone mineral density.
Wow. Fam. Like, okay, let me carry on.
This may be where the myth is, or perpetuates that myth, but we've proven with this research that even individuals with higher bone mineral density are able to float successfully.
Statistics show black children in England are 3 times more likely to drown than white children.
We know that 96% of adults in England do not swim regularly. We know that water safety isn't prioritised in schools, in local swimming clubs, and in after-school programmes either. So when we're looking at the broader picture of things, black and Asian communities face a higher risk of drowning.
The study found with...
You know what is? I wouldn't particularly say that it's down to like any myths and stuff like that about the water per se. I would just say it's more about, say, access and, you know, because okay, then when I was younger, I can remember going swimming with school. Maybe that's not such a common thing nowadays where kids ain't learning how to swim or water safety and things like that. Like, in my day, we used to do that. We even, like, if it was more like, there was a small pool and a deep end pool, you know, and then like, if you got advanced enough in the deep, like in a shallow pool, for example, they'll move you over to the deep pool. Then if you get advanced enough over there, they'll put you in situations where like you would be wearing clothes, you jump in the pool to simulate what it would be like the difference when you have wet clothes on in the water, for example. So yeah, maybe times have changed. This is probably a testament more to like, say, the lack of funding and resources in communities where the school can't offer to go swimming anymore, or say the youth club doesn't offer that anymore. Maybe, I'm not even sure if they still do leisure cards where you can go swimming for free, because that was a thing in my day. But I would say it's more access, because I doubt children don't like going swimming. It's maybe their parents don't have the resources or the spare time to be able to take them or stuff like that. You know what I'm trying to say? I doubt it's a racial thing more than an access thing, if that makes sense. And maybe there's a dynamic to it, but I wouldn't put it down to it, you know what I'm trying to say. But let's carry on anyway.
Proper instructions, 90% of participants could float successfully for 2 minutes. Body composition analysis assessed factors that affect buoyancy and tested different floating techniques. The results indicated body fat percentage rather than bone density is a factor in buoyancy, though not the sole determinant of one's ability to float. Jones says the way Britain teaches...
Why did they do that, fam? Why did they do that? Like, is it just me, or did they try put on like the little chubby girl when they're talking about body fat and buoyancy? Like, it's not just me, is it? It's not just me that noticed that. But let me carry on.
Floating needs to change from a one method for all approach.
Floating is unique and bespoke to everybody depending on their unique body composition. But as long as your face is up and you are breathing and you are safe and you are able to keep your airways open and receive oxygen, you are floating.
The BSA hopes the research will help improve attitudes to swimming in Black and Asian communities and encourage more people to learn how to float.
That is just ridiculous, man. That is just ridiculous. Right, let's go into this little news story about it. It was posted by the RNLI. What does that stand for again? The Royal National Lifeboat Institution or something like that. But yeah, this was their story that they published. Okay, let's get into a bit of a breakdown of what they was actually trying to do here. The research, led by the Black Swimming Association, conducted by the University of Portsmouth in partnership with the RNLI, was commissioned to address the damaging, widespread narrative that people of Black heritage have heavy bones and therefore less buoyant than people of white heritage. This has led to widespread belief that men, women, and children from these communities either struggle to float or cannot float. Oh, fam, I can't lie, fam. That is just hilarious, because I don't understand how that even makes sense scientifically. Like, fam, like, it's crazy, fam, because I don't even know what bones have to do with someone floating or not, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, bones ain't hollow. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, you have air in your lungs and stuff, so, and other fluid. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? So how does bones have something to do with floating when a big metal boat can float made out of metal that's heavy? Like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, where's the correlation to ability to float and bones? Crazy, fam. This finding challenges a persistent myth that has deterred generations from engaging in water-based activities and potentially contributed towards higher drowning rates in these communities. See, again, I don't understand how you thinking that you got heavier bones will lead to you drowning more. You get me? Like, not disputing the figures or whatnot, but it's like you're correlating something that is just so far off, because it's like, okay, so it's saying if you have heavier bones, you're more likely to drown. So that deters Black people from going in the water, but then Black people are going into the water and drowning. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, or is it more, there's not enough access and resources to be going to swimming all the time or whatnot? There's not lessons that are available for a reasonable rate this day and age. It's been, you get me, economies doing whatever, inflation, all them things, cost of living, you know. So, and I know here and there you see swimming baths shutting down, looking like some rusty buildings and stuff, looking like they're 20 years old, nothing's changed, you know. So maybe it's got something more to do with that than because they thought they have heavy bones, so they didn't go swimming on the weekend, but on a random occasion they find themselves in the water when they can't swim. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, anyway, Danielle Obi, chair and co-founder of the BSA, said the float research marks a generational turning point. Fam, okay. For the first time, we have rigorous scientific evidence confirming that there is no physiological reason why people from our communities cannot float. Our slogan stands true: everybody floats. Fam. It's just so ridiculous that you would even like hear something like this and be like, oh yeah, it seems true. Like, it just seems ridiculous from the outset. Seriously, like, it's like, yo, it's like, okay then. Or boats can't float if the I can't be arsed, blood. It's just ridiculous. The barrier was not only belief, it was also the long-held assumption that there is just one way to float, in the starfish position. Our work evidences that everybody floats differently and we must teach floating differently. Float transforms fear into knowledge and knowledge into safety. Now we understand how everybody floats, we can finally reach the people who were never reached and save lives that were always savable. Now, you see, that's basically what I was saying at the beginning of the video. It's down to technique, really and truly. You know, like, it's like balancing on one foot. If you want to pull it like that, it's like everyone's going to balance on one foot a little bit different, but everyone's able to balance, you know. So everyone's able to float. It's just, where do I put my foot? How do I angle my arms and my back? And you know what I'm trying to say? Like, so thinking that it's got to do with your bones is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, fam, you get me? It's like it's giving the energy of big boned. You get what I'm trying to say? It's the same thing. Oh no, I'm not fat, I'm big boned. This is like, it's that same kind of thinking, like, yo, it don't make any sense. You get what I'm trying to say? Well, we'll continue again. As a part of the research project, researchers measured participants' body composition using advanced imaging DXA scans, as well as buoyancy levels and floating techniques. The research, which involved 96 participants, revealed a number of key findings, such as high bone mineral density showed no correlation with floating competence. The research showed that body fat percentage can predict buoyancy and ease of floating, while passive floaters, those requiring minimal effort, had higher body fat percentage and greater buoyancy. Active floaters, requiring more movement, had lower body fat but could still maintain flotation with proper technique. However, although body fat percentage is considered a factor that can determine floating, the results show that one's ability to float is not solely dependent on one's body fat percentage. Again, it's just clear. It's got nothing to, like, even in this, like, this study is just proved it's got nothing to do with bones anyway, regardless of like anything. You get me? Where the myth of heavy bones comes from, I couldn't tell you here or there, like, really and truly, fam. That just sounds random, like pulled out of the woodwork from somewhere, like some back country part of England where people probably be racist, you know, more than like common belief. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it just seems, you know, like, yeah, maybe if they did it from the point of view of, okay, then body fat composition, study different levels of body fat composition to see, yo, what not, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, the techniques, but coming it from a racial perspective, I understand what you're doing, like trying to address the taboo of like black people not swimming, for example, but it just seemed irrelevant at the end of the day, really and truly. It just seemed as something to add on to get a news story about, or like make headlines. You get what I'm trying to say? But you know what? It's doing a job at bringing awareness for people to go swimming, everyone to go swimming, black people, Asian people, white people. Everyone should go swimming, learn how to be safe in the water, especially if you're going to be in situations where you're going into the water, like, especially if you're going into the sea. Even if you think you just, chill on the shore of the beach, have some safety, have some knowledge, knowledge never hurt no one. Dr. Heather Massey, lead researcher from the University of Portsmouth's Extreme Environments Laboratory, said when most people think about floating, they picture lying perfectly still with the whole of their body resting at the water's surface. In reality, that is possible for some people, but doesn't work for everyone. Oh my God, I thought that was tripping me out. For many, staying afloat and keeping the nose and mouth clear of the water takes effort and a bit of technique, but it's absolutely possible and needs to be practiced so that every person can find a floating position that requires the least amount of effort for themselves. Yeah, I agree with that. Most importantly, researchers found that with appropriate instructions, participants could float at various body angles and that maintaining a horizontal position was not necessary for successful flotation. What is necessary for individuals who are learning how to float is to find their float, the technique and position that feels most natural for their body in the water. Earlier this year, the RNLI and the National Water Safety Forum urged members of the public to find your float on World Drowning Prevention Day, highlighting the float to live technique. Gareth Morrison, head of water safety at RNLI, said, "We know that everyone floats differently, and it's important that this message reaches communities across the UK and Ireland, as we know that using float to live technique can save your life if you get into difficulty in any body of water." And you know what? That's the main point of this whole study, really and truly. And yeah, it's a value study from that perspective. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just a racial thing that just seems irrelevant. No one wants anyone to drown or whatnot. And yeah, we should promote swimming and water safety. And yeah, fair enough, you're addressing a myth or whatnot, but it just seemed unnecessary. The belief that certain ethnic groups cannot float has been a significant barrier to water safety education and aquatic participation across the country. According to the National Child Mortality Database, in the year ending 31st March 2024, black children in England were at 3 times higher risk of drowning than white children. In addition, according to Sport England, 96% of black adults and 95% of Asian adults in England do not swim regularly, with 75% of this study's participants reporting little to no recent water experience before the study. This research provides critical evidence that could save lives. Okay then, I understand, you're saying most people don't swim. Most black people don't swim. Most Asian people don't swim, according to Sport England. But I doubt that the white percentage is much different, to be fair. So maybe they didn't put it here. Maybe it don't fit with what they're trying to say, but because they're not addressing that issue. But it's like, it's probably 95% of England don't swim altogether regularly, really and truly. Me as someone that even enjoys swimming, I don't swim regularly when I get the chance, if I go to the gym and sauna and pool and whatnot, but I don't always go to that gym, so Elizabeth Aidan Pert, 59, took part in the study. She said, "I was very nervous on the day, but I had a great time and I learned a lot about my float style. My float experience before this involved nearly drowning as a child, so I stayed out of the water after that. By the end of the session, I could float. I've mentioned my experience to others and since found out there's lots of people who are not confident in the water. Learning how to stay afloat definitely builds water confidence." And you see, that's really what it comes down to. The less experience you have in the water, the more likely you're going to drown. And I think that's the bigger... Obviously, I'm not saying if you spend a lot of the time in the water, it's impossible to drown. realistically your odds go up the more chances you go in the water. You get what I'm trying to say? But at the same time, unexperienced people in the water, they're probably the ones that are at the highest risk. So it's not a racial thing. It's again about access and experience and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just one of them ones. To accompany the research findings, a 60-minute feature documentary will also be released on December 11th on BBC iPlayer. The Welsh language programme, available with English subtitles, titled Seren Jones. Let me try this. Yefin fuck no, I'm trying Welsh in it, mate. You know, fam, someone, yeah, I'm gonna look it up after though. I want to know how to say that. That's mad. But Alive in Water in English follows journalist and BSA co-founder Seren Jones, who investigates the origin of the heavy bones myth and addresses the dangers and fatalities around water safety across Wales and the UK. And yo, drop a like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Bow. On average, around 400 people accidentally drown every year in the UK, yet conversations around water safety are not prioritised in our schools nor our homes. We need to ensure that members of the public, especially those considered high risk, know how to be safe in and around the water so we can prevent drowning across the country. The BSA, University of Portsmouth and RNLI believe these findings provide underpinning evidence for water safety messaging, which can improve outcomes in accidental water immersion scenarios and encourage greater participation in aquatic activities, especially among underrepresented communities. While the findings of this research project are currently preliminary, the paper aims to be submitted to an academic journal in 2026. So yeah, I look forward to actually reading the published study when it gets to that, if it gets to that. You know, that would be interesting. And to be fair, you know what? Water safety does save lives, because here's a little anecdote. There was one time I was with my cousin. We're out. It's snowing, you know, in Birmingham. You get me? So yeah, we're by the canal. Obviously, the canal cuts through the park where he used to live. We're cutting through the canal, and we're like, oh, the canal's frozen. So as you do as a kid, you try and step on it. So I've sat on the edge of the bank of the canal, and I've put my foot on the ice to like feel it out. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's all right. Next thing you know, the ice breaks. I don't know how the ice breaks. My foot gets dragged into the water. I get dragged into the water, but luckily, like, as I get dragged in and like spin around. Yeah, a bit of technical difficulties, yeah, but where was I? So I've put my foot down on like the surface of like the frozen water then. And like, say I applied a bit of weight and I'm thinking, yeah, it's frozen. Next thing you know, the ice breaks. I just feel my foot get sucked into the water. So I get dragged into the water. As I'm getting dragged into the water though, like, I turn around and grab onto the like ledge. You get me? So I'm like, say, waist deep into the water, holding onto the ledge, freezing cold water. I'm like to my cousin, like, yo, help. Obviously, I probably was about, say, 13 at the time. My cousin, it probably would have been like 9, 10, around them ages. Maybe even younger, to be fair, maybe around 8. So yeah, I'm in the water. I'm like, yo, help me. My cousin's just standing there like freaking out, like, no, like, I don't know what to do. Like, he's kind of panicking because he doesn't know what to do. He's a kid at the end of the day. But obviously, so I knew the longer I stay in the water, the worse it's gonna be, basically. So I'm holding onto the ledge and I just managed to push myself up and like put my body onto the side and like fling my legs over. So like now I'm like laying on the floor, like on the bank of the canal. And yeah, like, to be fair, if I didn't have that experience of being in the deep end with clothes on and knowing like certain techniques and certain things about the water safety and stuff, that story could have went a different way. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you get me? It could have been a whole different situation, really and truly. So I do see the importance of water safety It's like, that's not for dispute. It's just maybe if there's more access, more awareness of access, and maybe like say if school was doing swimming lessons, like that's where majority of my time learning how to swim took place, was in school swimming lessons. So yeah, I think it's more of a resource thing than a racial thing or any stigma behind it. But yeah, I do think there's value in the study for addressing a stigma, if you want to say. But really and truly, like, even whoever was thinking like that heavy bones don't make you float, like, it's just ridiculous at the end of the day. It's ridiculous. Yeah, just drop a like if you like it. Drop a comment, got something to say. Yo, subscribe if you like what we're doing. Say nothing. Peace.